This week on Not Another Shooting Show.
I'm a crayon on napkin, motherfucker.
Oh, that's in Spanish. I can't read that. Okay.
It's almost like watching the proletariat rise.
But I don't understand it.
Lefty fuck.
Damn it, the front of the holster matters. He's Jeff King. I'm Andy Erickson. This is Not Another Shooting Show. We go to Lead Hill, Arkansas. That sounds like a fun town. Lead Hill, Arkansas, where a licensed law enforcement professional with the Lead Hill, Arkansas School District accidentally shot himself. In a letter to parents, the superintendent said the person's gun was discharged in a private office around noon on Tuesday. The person was alone at the time. The district said the person had non-life-threatening injuries. The employee was authorized to carry the gun on campus.
So either he was finger fucking his gun.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's probably cleaning it, of course. Like, that's
cleaning. Yeah, because that's what I do when I'm at work. Is I draw my gun and clean it, and then, or it's a SIG P320.
Well, it didn't. You know, they'd be quick to point that out. That'd be
true. Very true.
That'd be a real easy scapegoat. Like, he would just go, "It was just in my holster and it went off." You know,
it would be great. It'd be great if he was like doing like quick draws and then like screwed it up on his reholster.
You know, if I was a cop with a P320, I would not carry that without it. You know, the holster. I would have to have it attached by a QLS. Because it would just never leave the holster.
Correct.
I'm never taking it out. I'm never doing anything with it. It's just staying in the holster because then that way I can never be liable for when it goes off eventually.
Which is how I handle all firearms that are loaded, or like my concealed carry or my duty pistol. It just stays in the holster.
Do you leave it loaded all the time in the holster?
Yep.
Okay. No, I had a permit class today, and we were talking about, or I mentioned, like, how I store my guns. We've talked about this on the show before. Like, in my house, in my bedside safe, like, mag in gun, empty chamber, dead trigger. Like, hammer down, can't fire, but there's a mag in it. You know?
Yep.
Ready to go in the middle of the night. I never leave anything loaded hot. It's just never how I've ever done it, so I don't do it. But like one of the guys in the class was asking, so where does that come from? I just said, that's just my own personal policy. That's just how I do it. You know, there's other literature out there that would tell you store your ammo and firearms separately in your home. Well, that's dumb if you need it in the middle of the night, you know.
Right, but if you have kids, it might be good to keep that barrier of separation.
Right. Unless you have some other barrier of separation, like mine are all in a safe anywhere in the house that they are. And they're in, with the exception of my bedside safe, every gun is inside a locked room with a key code doorknob.
Right.
So
whereas I live alone, and so leaving a loaded gun in a holster sitting on my kitchen counter isn't a problem because I'm the only one who's going to handle it.
Yeah.
And I know my rule. I have almost suffered the consequences of someone not knowing that rule because I went to my dad's ranch, took my gun off that I had been driving with for 7 hours, put it on the table thinking he's not going to touch that. First fucking thing he does, draw it and point it at the wall. And I was like, oh, that's loaded. That's loaded. That's loaded. He goes, it is. I was like, please put it down.
Oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, I guess how you do that stuff is just sort of how you do that stuff. As long as you have a safe rhyme or reason to it and you stick to a system, I think pretty much anything is fine. However you want to do that sort of thing in your home. Yep. But, and while like safe storage laws and stuff, like I guess I'm not a fan of those because don't tell me what to do, but you should store your gun safely, you know? Like, especially if you have children in the house, like especially.
I get them. I get your perspective, but I also understand the other side's perspective because we literally had a cop's kid take his dad's gun off the living room table and go shoot a principal in the face. So, like, you know.
Like down in Omaha that happened?
Yep.
When?
This would have been about probably 6 or 8 years ago.
Oh, Jesus.
It was at one of, so we have several school districts, and it was in the school district I went to, but it was at one of the 3 high schools that I didn't go to. So
okay.
There are 4 high schools. But yeah, it happened at Millard South. It was a huge thing.
That was it happened at the school?
Yep.
Like, there's a Wikipedia page for that shooting, right?
Yeah, because it like people thought it was balloons popping because it was like it was near the end of the school year, and like the kid had got expelled for like driving his dad's truck on like the turf or the practice field of the football team, and so he was pissed off and took the cop dad's gun off the table, walked in, shot the assistant principal in the face and the assistant principal like in the shoulder or something like that. But yeah.
I just Googled it. Yeah. Yeah. The assistant principal was killed, and that's in Spanish. I can't read that. Okay.
What?
It just gave me the Spanish language version of the story for some reason. It was from Nebraska Public Media, and it loaded the Spanish version of the story. That was weird. I've never seen that before.
Okay, that's weird as fuck.
Oh my God. Okay. Well,
not a happier news.
On happier news, a CEO got shot. We talked about that in the last episode, but
I don't know about any of the rest of you, but I am most of my friends' gun guy, as I've talked about before. I run in a different circle than probably most of you do, and the amount of people are like, so, like, what do you think happened? Like, what's up? And I'm like, I have exactly as much information as you do. Like, it is a potato quality video.
Yeah.
shot in the dark with a black gun. I've heard everything from it's a well-rod World War II era pistol to it's a cattle executing gun.
Yeah.
Like,
a veterinary gun.
Right. There's literally zero information out there, but the amount of people who are like, hey, what's up? Like, so what do you think? What happened? And I'm like, Firepower United also posted a very interesting video that had a Glock without a Nielsen device. I think I'm trying to call back to our silencer episode, suppressor episode. That it was a Glock without that device, and it was a single shot pistol because it didn't have enough gas to work. So it's just been interesting watching the internet sleuthing with zero gun knowledge whatsoever. And like how people think that because you are a gun expert, let's say, that they're like, you should know all of this information. You're like, I see the same potato quality video you do. I have zero information.
I still have not seen that video. Like, when we recorded the Patreon episode, that's the last time I tried to find it. I just didn't think to try to find it in between. I've been so freaking busy since last Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day it was, when we found out Area 3 was happening. But I have no idea. Like, I haven't seen it. I've seen all the speculation. I've seen a lot of that stuff, but I haven't actually seen the video. So, that's whatever. The thing I find fascinating about that whole thing is the sort of the social media reaction in the, like, not just talking about the gun world, but like in the world, you know, the fact that people are like, yeah, the shit shouldn't cost so fucking much.
It's almost like watching the proletariat rise. Like a good buddy of the show, I won't name him, mentioned that this is like our 9/11 event. Like, this has brought the United States together
in a really weird way.
Yes, because it, like, this is okay. To get slightly controversial for a second, this is what the Second Amendment solution looks like. For those who are not initiated, like, there's a theory that this dude is someone who's got like something denied or something, and he was taking revenge for it. And like, this is what happens when people get pissed off to a certain, and you push them too far. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's interesting.
Yeah. No, what was that? What was that movie with Michael Douglas?
Oh, Falling Down?
Falling Down. Is that it?
Yeah, where he's just like driving to work and
He's got the buzz
like,
cut. Yeah, it is Falling Down.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, because you can only push people so far before they go, you know what? I'm not about this anymore.
Yeah.
And I have a problem with this.
It's
We are not endorsing violence in any way, shape, or form.
No,
we're just saying that the people can get upset, and sometimes they express that upsetness in certain ways.
yeah, and the fact that it's been so widespread on social media. I saw a chick on Instagram talking about how he's kind of cute. You know, the shooter guy, because there's like a couple of photos they found. It's like, have you seen this guy? And he's like, well, hello there, thirst trap assassin. You know,
right, and it's
okay.
It's also funny to me that people are like, yeah, fuck that super rich dude for exploiting poor people, and you're like, do you have that same belief towards the rest of your ideals? Okay, whatever. Okay, now we're moving on.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
right. It is united right and left, regardless of whatever sense it makes. Like I saw people shitting on Ben Shapiro, who were like, "Hey, homie, I've been following you for decades. I'm a huge fan. Love your show. You on the wrong side of this, motherfucker." and you got like Elon Musk coming out and be like, "Hey, you can't just go shooting CEOs." And like people are like, "Elon, boobala, buddy, maybe." But and I'm like, okay, this is an interesting turn.
Yeah. The also CEO, they're like removing profile pictures and any personal information from large company websites. Yeah, it's pretty.
There's a shocker.
Yeah,
I'm guessing the armed security world or the executive protection world is going to get a little influx of money here for the next several months.
Well, a guy I know who lives in your town just got some sort of certification like that, and it's one I can't get. You have to like serve in some sort of actual protection work for a certain number of years or whatever before you're eligible. He listens to this. He knows who he is. I won't call him out, but dude, I think you're about to make bank.
Right.
Just saying.
I'm
your
slightly
timing's
annoyed.
Impeccable.
I'm slightly annoyed I got fired from the company that does that shit for kicking a meth head, but I also like don't want to defend the bourgeoisie. But
yeah, there's that too. But everybody's got a price.
Hey, I'm a mercenary at heart. So yeah, if you're like, hey, do you want to make like $1 million a year? Yes, I would.
Yeah,
I am here for it.
Everybody's got a price, and mine is $357 a month. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/notanothershootingshow. For just $357 a month, you get every single episode. Yes, even you, guy who left snarky review on Apple Podcasts that made me laugh. It was on September 28th, and I didn't see it until just yesterday or the day before. It's a 2-star review. Please don't leave 2-star reviews. The full episodes are nice. Getting a 10-minute cuckfest every other episode is not. Take the partials out altogether or do the PSTG way and make it all free again. I don't even start the partials. I just delete them right away. Okay.
Get a better cuck chair?
This is capitalism. You don't have to like it. You don't have to listen. It's okay.
Sorry that half of our stuff goes to pay for the equipment and the licensing and everything to do this.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
How dare we?
How dare we? Anyway, patreon.com/notanothershootingshow. Everything's free, Jeff. Nothing on the internet should be paid for. I have a friend, my old morning show partner, she refuses to buy apps. She will not buy an app. Ever.
Yeah. Yep.
So one app not every, but most, if you shoot major matches, pretty much everybody in USPSA has bought the Practice Score Competitor app. Isn't it like $12 or something like that?
I think I paid $7, but yeah, we'll call it $10.
Whatever
maybe
it is.
I'm wrong. Yeah.
And that's more than average for an app if you buy one. But that's a incredibly useful app, and I use the shit out of it, and it was a one-time purchase, and hell yeah, Practice Score does a lot for our sport for nothing. So
if there are more one-time purchase apps out there, I'd be more for it.
It's the ongoing bullshit that pisses me off.
Right. Yeah, because you're like, oh, I bought this app for $3, and they're like, cool. Now for $7, you get the other 8 features of this app, and you're like, God damn it.
So I bought Strelock Pro, the ballistic calculator app, before they got booted off of Apple because Russia.
Oh, interesting.
But it's still on my phone. But I bought the Pro version, one-time purchase, Pro version. And I still have what I think is the best ballistic calculator app out there. I know some of you rifle nerds really like the whatever the Hornady thing is, but I don't understand it. It's I put it in and I try to get like, okay, where would my bullet hit at this? Like, that's not there. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's so obtuse and complicated. You know, if you want something to work, like, well, not work, but everyone should take their app or thing design, if it's something like that, and base it off the Garmin chronograph. Just base it off the simplicity and power of that simple little $600 box. It is like the simplest, greatest product that has ever been made. It's so stupid easy to use. I still have not read a single word of the instruction manual. And you don't have to. It's the simplest damn thing in the world. Like, everybody should think about that when they like design anything. Like, just, okay, how can we make it as simple as possible?
Well,
and not complicated.
Right. That one of the problems is people have this tendency to be like, all right, this thing needs to solve this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, and this problem. And you're like, no. I would like an app that solves this problem.
Yeah.
No, nothing else. I wanted to solve this problem.
I paid for a solitaire app that didn't do dumb online bullshit. Like, not only did it not have ads, it didn't want to put me in tournaments and, like, interact with other people. Like, I didn't want that shit. I just want a fucking solitaire app that I don't have to see ads on. I'll pay for it. I'll pay a reasonable amount of money for it if it just doesn't have a bunch of bullshit. And I did. It was like $2, and I've had it on my phone ever since, and I don't play it much. But if I'm, like, super bored waiting to pick up my kid at school, I'll play solitaire for a little bit.
Right. It's worth the $2 to $5 you paid for it. Like, that is a perfect price for a perfect, like, app delivery.
Okay. Jeff wants to mock the Gundies. Go.
Oh my God. I'm so excited about this because this is the dumbest thing on the internet related to guns. So for those of you who don't know, because you're not a degenerate, the Gundies are a marketing award, essentially.
Well, a lot of awards are, like, I worked in radio, and it's basically associations of broadcasters or other marketing or other industry people who just, hey, submit yourself for this thing. So it's already a self-aggrandizing thing anyway. And then it becomes just sort of like, I never submitted our show or anything. I never submitted a thing for an award because I won't go suck the dicks that need to get sucked to get voted for to win it.
Right. And so, like, I'm going through the list there's like 15 Gundie awards, and they seem completely random at all times. And like their association with the gun world seems to be fairly loose. There's one that's like, okay, so influencer of the year. I would expect to see a lot of channels that I'm used to seeing. I don't know half of these people, and I spend the vast majority of my time in this world. So, and like, I'm going to throw a little bit of shade here, but the influencer of the year for 2024 is not Jerry Mischlik. He is a god amongst our sport and like within the gun industry, but he did not do anything in 2024 that was like, this dude changed the trajectory of the gun industry this year.
Well, no, but like, I mean, he's still an influencer. I mean, it's not like he's not an influencer. And one thing with this Gundie's thing, I don't think the bar to get nominated is real high.
It's essentially I forget because it was explained to me on another channel, but I think it's like you have to have like 10 people submit you or something. I don't know the exact system off the top of my head, but yeah, it's whatever the system is. Like, if you're the most influential gun tuber of the year, you would think I would, know about you. And half of these people are distinctly unknown people.
GunTuber its own thing?
Well, okay. So
or was it influencer?
This was influencer of the year. There is top video. Well, there's there's best gun reviewer, which there's most influential male of the year, which feels slightly redundant. Let's see. Most influential female, King of the Hill, video of the year again.
I mean, Jerry's channel is huge.
Right.
I mean, he has a big channel. It's just he doesn't put out a ton of content anymore.
Right, and it tends to be him shooting Smith & Wesson revolvers very fast, which is his shtick. I'm here for it.
He actually had a video the other day that it was just him like repeatedly pulling the trigger on a revolver. And somebody comes in and asks him a question. He's like, "Yeah, I'll be done in a little bit." And he's just literally like going click, 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 click. On the revolver.
I saw that one. Yep. So like,
it was great. It made me laugh.
Right. And so like, my algorithm should get me a lot of these people. So like, most entertaining content creator, which would that not be the most influential person within?
No, I don't think those are necessarily the same.
Okay. Well, again, I know half of these people, maybe. No, I don't know half of them. There's so many that I'm like, and like, most of them aren't gun people. Like Kagan Dunlap, he is a more of like a veterans commentary type person. So I don't know how he's part of the gun world unless veteran equals gun person, which as a USPSA RO it doesn't. But it's remarkable how many of these people are not gun related, in my opinion.
Go to the podcast of the year. Like I was going through that because I saw Dave Riddle submitted Casual Shooters podcast, and I was like, I wonder who else is up for that, because my world is just USPSA for the most part. Outside of I kind of like the Hornady podcast, depending on what they're talking about. The Vortex podcast is decent. And that is one of the shows that's nominated. But then I'm going through it, and one of the first ones I saw, there was 6 or 7 I'd never heard of, and then the Sean Ryan show.
Yep. Yep.
That's not a shooting podcast.
No,
I mean, he was like a Navy SEAL or a Green Beret. What was he?
I want to say he was a SEAL.
Okay, but so he did some shit, I guess, in the military. Okay, and now he talks to other guys who are in the military, and it doesn't really talk about shooting much.
Yeah. No. And it's a very weird one to be on there because he's like a conspiracy dude, and he's and all of his half of his stories are like, oh, I was a special forces dude, we did the special forces shit, and the other ones are like, all right, so the aliens, and you're like, alrighty then, I guess.
And the Jack Carr's podcast is also nominated.
What is the Jack Carr podcast? I don't even know.
He wrote The Terminal List.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought it was one of the books, but I mean, there's so many random ones on here.
It's called Danger Close, and so he, he has some pretty entertaining guests. He's not that great of a host. He's sort of a ass kissy, not great storyteller, but he has he writes books that are really good, and I like his books a lot. I love them, and I'm not trying to shit on him. He's not a great host. He's not a great interviewer, and it's hard to listen to someone who's not good at interviewing. Just sort of so tell me about yourself. Yeah, and then I'll tell a story, and not ask a question. And
noted. But he also doesn't he's not a gun person. Like he doesn't sit there.
He does ads for Sig Sauer every chance he gets. I mean, they're in his books and his podcast, but yeah.
But like the Unsubscribed podcast is on here, and
I don't even know what that is.
So it's basically
I don't know what any of these are except for Sean Ryan and Jack Carr and Vortex and Casual Shooter, and I didn't know Lucas Bodkin had a podcast.
I didn't either until reading this, but I think so the Unsubscribed podcast, like the simplest way to break it down is it's like all the Brovet YouTube channels got together and they do a podcast together.
Really?
So it's got like Donut Operator and a couple guys from the like Black Rifle Coffee.
Brandon Herrera.
Yeah, Brandon Herrera will be on there, and then like they've had like Habitual Line Crosser and a few other like kind of like vet adjacent like,
and they discuss topics including gaming, anime, and military life.
Correct. Yeah. So it's just like random whatever story they want to tell, which doesn't necessarily line up with gun world, but yeah. And then like I don't know the rest of these shows. The Ava Flannel, nope, never heard of it. Let's see. The No Lowballers podcast, never heard of it. The Gun Experiment podcast, I feel like that could be interesting if it's like Mythbusters for guns, but if it was Mythbusters for guns, why would you not call it Mythbusters for guns? But yeah.
Probably trademark violation things.
There might be. So yeah, the podcast list was not great. The influencers were a bunch of nobodies. Most innovative brands. Let's start with the top four. One of which I've never heard of. 5150. Don't know who they are.
Like the Van Halen album?
Exactly. Smith & Wesson. So that's a lie. Little fuckers. They haven't released an innovative pistol in years. Genesis Arms.
They changed the trigger in all their M&Ps.
Right, and they made a one-port comp a metal frame. I don't even know if those are steel. And then Filsters up there, I guess, for the Enigma. I guess I don't know. Like one of the other things I find quite funny about this is that like some of them just don't have a like explanation under them. So like you'll click on them for like most influential brand of the year, and it'll just be blank, and you're like, okay, I guess I didn't need to know why you were influential. So let's see, most influential brands. It's your standard like kind of jerk off circle. Except for Glock isn't on there. That's crazy.
They're perfect. They don't need to innovate.
Yeah, Glock perfection. Breakout creators. I've never heard of any of them. So apparently they're not really that important. I don't know. They have very cringy names and pictures. Let's see. Best gun reviewers. This one's pretty standard. Humble Marksman, CN Arsenal, Iraq Veteran 8888, Military Arms Channel. That one's pretty standard.
Yeah.
I don't know half of them, but I at least see kind of what I would expect to see there.
There are a lot of people you've heard of.
Right. So let's go to the best shooter, the one where we probably have some information about this. And luckily we know half of them.
Yeah.
The other half we have no fucking clue.
Yeah. No, that was, and there's others that we know that it's like, okay, whatever.
They're literally missing the best shooter in the world. Like they don't have Eric Graffel on this list, which seems slightly insulting to the guy who came over and curb stomped CO Nats.
Yeah. I think if I was going to vote for this, I mean, like you've got Vincent Hancock. He won the gold medal in the Olympics. Like you want a gold medal. What do you want a Gundie for? Seriously.
Right. And there's a part of me that thinks that most of these guys either weren't submitted by themselves or like, I don't know.
Well, but some of them, it's like, well, their job is marketing. So they're marketing because marketing, like content creation to sell shit sounds terrible to me. I don't want to do that job. Like I was forced to like write articles for my radio station, and it didn't really matter if I could speak English and write intelligently as long as I did 10 a week. That's all they cared. They just want to throw as much shit against the wall and see what sticks. But to like do it for a company You know, if it was like for my company, yeah, that's different. I care about it. But like, I'm going to write stuff, and I'm not shitting on people who do this and love the job. Like, it's just not for me. That's all I'm saying. I just don't want to do it.
I also,
it's like doing dishes or something.
I've also heard a lot of interviews with most of them, and they fucking hate it. Like, once you get into the grind of it,
and it's a grind. Like, when you have to, Jeff disappeared. I'm still recording, but he disappeared. What happened, Jeff? Where'd you go? We're back.
We are back, and
we had a 13-minute faux pas. Clean feed died for Jeff in Omaha, but not me. It's still working fine. So
it's the weirdest thing. But like, my Discord works fine, and my YouTube works fine, Reddit works fine, but I couldn't get clean feed to work. It was the craziest thing.
I don't remember. We were still talking Gundies.
We were, because so we were discussing the best shooters of that have been nominated, and there's a lot of people you'd recognize: Hunter Constantine, Christian Seiler, good choice.
Yep.
Casey Sable, Daniel Horner.
Yep.
Great.
Joe Farewell,
Vincent Hancock won an Olympic gold medal, I believe.
Yeah.
So like, there are some legit people here, and there's some legit people I don't know. There's one guy who's like Kyle
Litzy. No, he won the world rifle shoot.
Okay, but
rifle world shoot.
He's one of the ones. He has no description, so you just have a picture of him on a podium with the word "world" and then a 20 with a rifle as the zeros. So like, I guess I assumed it was the rifle world shoot, but like, no description.
Yeah.
But then there's some guy called That Ain't Bad. And this motherfucker.
No. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
He doesn't even have a picture of his face. It's just a picture of the back of him with a cringy AR. And here's the description he decided would be the best for his award. That ain't bad is a way of life. It's an attitude that everyone can live by. Whatever it is, if it doesn't suck, that ain't bad. It's for the community of pipe hitters that enjoy getting after it in all aspects of life. Let's do this. Nothing but respect.
Pipe hitters.
All them pipe hitters and pipe
I'm watching
layers.
the video that's on there, and they're like playing catch with their guns and for cartridges. I mean, he's shooting relatively fast at steel at really close distance, but he sure likes parlor tricks. Okay, neat. I'm bored with that. The only guy I will vote for on here, though, is another one I haven't heard of, but his picture is awesome, and it's the Ranger Cowboy. He doesn't have a description either, but he's riding a horse and drawing a revolver and looking angry with a hat on backwards. I'd vote for that guy if I was going to vote for this dumb thing. But, yeah. Are you still there? God damn it.
Sorry. No, I'm here. Sorry.
You made me nervous.
I'm sorry.
You weren't listening to me. What was going on? What were you doing?
I have push to talk on because this is Discord. One sec.
Oh. we had to switch to Discord to talk, and I never use Discord, so I'm not going to have any problems with this at all. And and you use it a lot for gaming shit, and you're going to have this is causing you problems.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, because I had to turn to voice activation, which is like a sin in the gaming world. So, but yeah, so hopefully I didn't. I don't know where I forgot to hit the button, and I knew I was going to fucking do it too. But we can move on from the Gundies, and they're horrible.
It's dumb.
Like, you don't. Well, oh wait, we forgot about one last great category, and that's top instructor of the year.
Oh, your girlfriend's there.
Yes. The the list includes 0 USPSA shooters.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Sorry, Wanzik's there.
Wanzik's on there. Okay, but I mean, okay.
It's a bunch of people you've probably heard of, or maybe not. I don't know. It's a bunch of tactical instructors of varying quality. And Thea's on there as one of the top instructors. I think she teaches women classes in Omaha. I don't know. I would not take classes from her. I don't know what she could teach me.
I did.
But
I just noticed the best outdoorsman of the year. And, I'm looking through it. I'm like, they had to. Yes, they did. Steven Ranella put himself in there too. Jim Shockey, shooting animals on television. I mean, I like shooting animals, but the whole shooting stuff and posing with it media thing is, I don't know, it's a little cringy to me now. I don't really care for it. Mostly because it's caused there to be too many hunters, too much demand, not enough public land and resources, and it's hurting everything. So just vote none of the above. What movie was that? Vote none of the above.
Oh,
It's an old movie, like from the early 80s. I can't think of what it was. Anyway, moving on. I saw this on Instagram the other day. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but Ruger and Magpul are collaborating on a thing. What do you think it is? I mean, Magpul already made a stock for a 1022.
right. The first thing that pops to mind is either a 1022 magazine or a 1022 like stock of some sort. But if I want to say something fun, I'm hoping it's like an ACR knockoff that with like Magpul marketing and Ruger quality control.
Okay, that'd be all right. I'd be down with that. Wasn't Ruger supposed to, or Magpul supposed to come out with some sort of ACR thing?
Yeah. So I forget
That's
which
vaguely
direction it
familiar.
went. Yeah, because I can't remember if Magpul made the ACR and then it went to Remington, or if like another
it's the
company
other way
made
around.
it and then went to Magpul, and then they like never got around to making it or something. I don't remember what happened.
Remington made because the ACR is in Call of Duty 3, old Call of Duty 3, and it was Remington's logo is on that rifle in the game.
Yep.
And
If they could, like, because Ruger has a decent quality control, it just looks kind of janky and kind of ghetto. But like, I take a ghetto ACR. Let's go.
Yeah, no, especially if it's like $800. Hell yeah, that'd be cool. I would buy one of those.
With the caliber conversions.
Sure, whatever. Just make it something cool. I hope it's not like all polymer magazines for a Mark IV. That would be bad. That's not a product anybody needs. Anyway, like I said, I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it, but my buddy Tyler the Suppressor says 10 millimeters dope. He was in my permit class today. The guy that was on our Suppressor episode a few months ago. He was in my class, and when we got done, I was like, hey, I brought the Glock 20. You want to shoot the spicy hunting gold dot ammo? And he's like, yes. And so I handed him what was left of the magazine that I ended up shooting my deer with, or finishing my deer off with. And he fires the first round, and he turns around and looks at me, and he's like, whoa. And he immediately goes back and shoots again, and then shoots again, and shoots again. And he just looks at me and goes, that's fun. I'm like, right? And I was like, give me a description of like, what was it like? What's cool about it? He just said, it's like steep, but oh God, I can't remember the word he used. Like it was just enjoyable fun, like challenging recoil that's fun and it's not unpleasant. So I can't remember what the hell the phrase was that he said, but
stupid fun.
It wasn't that. It was worded much better. I knew I should have wrote it down and I didn't, and that was dumb. But he just thoroughly enjoyed it. Like it's pleasant, but it's not easy recoil. It's not soft. It's just oddly satisfying. That was the word he used, satisfying. It was just satisfying to shoot because it's like, yeah, it's big, but I got it,
Right.
And then I asked him, okay, what's the difference between my hunting loads and like the run-of-the-mill 180 grain XTP loads that I loaded up for it? I was like, could you tell a big difference? And he's like, oh, yeah. No, the hunting ones were definitely spicier. But the biggest difference he noticed, though, was the powder is different in them. It's accurate number 9 in the gold dots, and they go like 1,300 feet a second, a little over that.
Oh, damn.
The XTPs, those are 180s, but I used blue dot powder for those, and that blue dot powder has a fireball flash, like big one. I mean, the other one you can see the fireball, but that blue dot powder really flashes. Like there's a lot of unburned powder coming out the end of that barrel, and oh, does it make a big fireball? It was cool.
All right, next night match. I know what I'm shooting.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna at the next night match. I'm shooting. Well, what would I shoot? I might as well shoot open major.
Right.
Yeah.
You can get the major wherever you can.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot open major. Let me go back and check my chronograph. My excellent this podcast, not paid for, but still brought to you by Garmin. Garmin, give us money. We'll whore you out.
It's what's for dinner.
Garmin, it's what's for dinner. Where was that other load? Oh, shit. It didn't get in there. Damn it. Oh, no, this one was it. No, that wasn't it. I don't know. I know I took chrono readings with the Hornet. Oh, here it is. Those were only... the Hornady loads were only like between 206 and 214 power factor. I'm still making
Jesus
major.
Christ.
I'm still making major.
Yeah, just barely.
You know, I'm still making major. It's a little close, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. The other ones,
you got to do.
The other ones were averaging around 217 power factor, 216, 215, somewhere in there.
I had a buddy call me and tell me about his deer hunt, and I was like, "Oh, Andy taught me about this. I can slightly communicate about this. I'm still functionally retarded." But he's like, "I think I need to carry like a pistol to defend myself." I'm like, "Oh, I have an answer to this." He's like, "I want a 45." I'm like, "You need a 10 millimeter."
No, 45 is dumb. 10 millimeters where it's at.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, why do you say that?" And I was like, "Foot-pounds of force, motherfucker."
Yeah. You can either have 230 grains, you know, lumbering along at like 780 feet per second, or you can have 165 grains screaming at 1310. Which would you rather have? Speed kills.
Like 650 foot-pounds of force at the muzzle.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing. I didn't realize how slow 45s were. You know, when I first got into shooting, I'm just like, oh, 45. I don't remember if did we say this on the podcast? You know how people always talk about 2 world wars. You know, it's the thing that won 2 world wars in 1911. No, right. It didn't do shit. It was in holsters a lot during both of those wars.
Yes, it's a statistical anomaly that won several Medal of Honors, but other than that, there's a funny anecdote that's the German war ministry in World War I could not find a single wounded soldier shot by a 45 caliber weapon in all of World War I. So they're like, either it killed them on the battlefield or they never made it back it wasn't deadly enough to take them back to the aid station.
I think I did say this, but the thing that actually won 2 world wars was not a gun. It was a cartridge, and it was the 30-06. That
correct
won 2 world wars. Anyway, yeah, I think we definitely said that because I was going to shoot my 30-06 rifle hunting. Anyway, moving on. What can HQ bring to the table? There was an interesting discussion brought up on our NAS Reddit because we forgot to post anything this week about USPSA by Brian. Thank you, Brian. As an organization provides at least 4 things that members and clubs can't get on their own: a rule book, trained keepers of the rule book, a classification system, and national championships. None of these are perfect, but they are better than anything shooters and clubs could provide on their own. I would agree.
Correct.
One might say they provide free promotion of level 2 and 3 matches via their website and magazine, but who cares? A match can promote itself on social media and practice score better. One might also point out that HQ approves level 2 and 3 stages, but who cares? On the ground stages are often very different than the approved drawing, and sometimes completely different. I'd like to see HQ coordinate communication between section and area match directors, at least those within driving distance of each other, so that matches don't fall on the same dates. Is there anything else HQ can do for members and clubs? Can they do more? Discuss. it led to a lot of discussion. As far as the match coordination, regionally, that already happens on its own for the most part. Both last year I got messages this fall about, do you have any idea when Area 3 is going to be? And the answer was, I have no idea. But I couldn't give anyone an answer. I was keeping an eye on nationals. People really pissed about how long it took to get nationals all scheduled for next year because planning. People are trying to plan their matches for next year. And are we having a nationals in September? Is there one in October? Is it in June again? Like, where it should never be. There should never be a nationals in the first half of the year, period. I mean,
correct.
It's like a few weeks before July, but at least in July, it's in the second half of the year. So yeah, a lot of that's happening already, but there is some bad luck that happens. Like Great Plains section ended up being the same weekend as the Wyoming match. That's unfortunate. It kind of happens because there's people from out there that come to the match here, but
and there's only so much coordination you can do before you are, the scheduling gods are not the nicest people. And like my club, we kind of have free reign, but we also kind of can only do a time in June, because outside of that, we have Glock matches and Steel Challenge matches and 3-gun matches and Cowboy Action matches and matches and matches and matches. And so like, there's only a certain amount of space in the calendar that you can shove it in. And like, I agree with this person. Areas should be at the end, should be at the like medium to end part of the season, and national should be at the end of the season. But I also understand that like some clubs are like, yeah, if we don't do this on like May 21st, we will not be able to run this like state match. So that's our only choice. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah. You forgot College World Series is a problem for your club.
Yep. That's another thing we didn't even realize until I went down to the Florida Open and had two guys from Iowa go, "Why do you guys do that?" And I went, "I forgot that that's a thing." And they're like, "Yeah, hotels are like $500." And we're like,
well, it wasn't bad because the College World Series kept moving later and later and later into the year. It used to be over in early June. It was never an issue. Now it's not even starting till mid-June. So
yep.
It completely. You guys were always like the last full weekend in June was the weekend of Great Plains when it was there, and then Cornhusker. And then a few years ago, I went to go get the cheap, shitty Super 8 in Gretna for a hotel, and it was going to cost me $265. That hotel's so shitty, they tore it down. But 2 or 3 years ago, it was going to be $265 a night when normally it's like $65 a night. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then Alex told me, oh, yeah, that's the College World Series. That's, yeah.
And then there's another level to it because, like, and I didn't know this until Liz explained it to me. There's a women's College World Series, and they do a, like, juniors World Series.
And those are all there, too?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, Jesus.
Right. And I was like, I did not even know these were a concept. And then, then we have Berkshire Hathaway. That's another week or two. Mm-hmm. So on top of trying to plan, like, hey, we would like to have this match, you also have to try to plan, because like if we were going to have a match out at the new range out in South Dakota and we held it during the week of Sturgis, that might not work out great for us.
No. That'd be terrible. I'm just curious, like what, like the water park, there's a water park with 4 hotels all attached to it at the exit where you turn to go 10 miles to get to that range. I'm going to try and book hotels Rapid City for, I don't need to do this. I can just tell you it's going to be like $500 a night during the rally for any hotel that's greater than a toilet. I mean, it's stupid out there. It's crazy everywhere. People rent out their houses and go on vacation during the rally. Like, the Black Hills has been a huge VRBO thing since way before the internet. Like, there were companies that marketed for the rally, and people would rent a house for like $20,000 for the week or 2 weeks. I went to college in Spearfish, and John Elway rented a house from a guy that owned this little guitar shop in Spearfish, and he had photos of John Elway in a kitchen signing footballs. I'm like, what the hell is this? Oh yeah, John Elway rented out our house for a couple of years during the rally. And this is when he was like winning Super Bowls and shit, you know.
Just an off-the-cuff statement, like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, John Elway rented my house."
Yeah,
That's fine.
So that's kind of a thing when you're trying to plan that
Right.
shit.
So
Back to what can HQ bring to the table? Not a clear rule book. I'll fucking say that right now.
but at least it's a consistently unclear rule book.
It's consistently unclear and poorly defined, and goddamn it, the front of the holster matters. I'm going insane.
I know, because you're dealing with interesting people, but it's at least when I go to, say, a match in Wyoming, I generally know what the rules will be. Versus if you talk to enough people who have, especially three gunners, like I know I shit on three gunners constantly, and you all deserve it, but part of it is three gunners used to go to matches, and even from stage to stage, the rules would change.
Yeah.
Like I remember listening to, I think I was listening to a podcast or talking to someone, and they were like, yeah, on one stage I could load my shotgun on the like make ready table, like load up the tube but keep the chamber flag in there. He went to the next stage, was doing that, and they're like, DQ for handling ammunition in a safe area.
That was USPSA multi-gun back in the day. That's where that was happening.
Okay, well, where all
where
of
the
the different
ROs
multi-guns
did not understand the rules, and that's when Adam Maxwell was like, hey, let us do it, and let's get this bullshit ironed out, because there's certain concessions that really need to be made for three gun, and he was correct. Like, there's certain rules that work for USPSA that just don't work for three gun, and
right, and
they finally made that overlap in the multi-gun rules to kind of fix that, but.
Right.
Let's get to the stuff that like people were talking about, like what could they do?
Right.
And I agree with a lot of it. Like Vince Drink was talking about club guidance on how to how to set up, start, and run USPSA matches. And they had a group from a new range looking for guidance on that. And this is something that has come up. Brian even he replied to me about that in my comment, which mine is very different. But Vince was talking about how USPSA should build a library of best practices for starting a USPSA club and putting on matches. Include recommendations for wall construction, materials list, construction guide, wall stand construction or procurement, target stand construction or procurement. I mean, new clubs, for the most part, you're going to be building them either out of 2x4s, or if you have people who know how to weld and fabricate stuff, then they're going to be doing those. And that's the way to go, if you can. And he goes on with a bunch of other really great ideas. Yeah. And honestly, I think all it would take is for the board to direct an employee to do that.
Right.
Like, this is not a complicated thing that could happen. It's just not.
Having it. Right, because literally find someone like our buddy Dan Hannis, who works on CAD every day, and be like, hey, can you make a CAD profile for each one of these processes? And then when a club starts, we can go, here's the 20 CAD drawings you need to make walls and barrels and target stands. Oh, my. And they'd be like, oh, thank you. This does make life much easier because I can just make it off of the blueprint.
Well, I mean, you could ask Dan to do that, and that would be awesome. That's a great idea. Or I could just do it with a crayon and a piece of paper, because it's that complicated, you know.
In general, yes, I would like to institutionalize it slightly more than the crayon on napkin, but I'm more of a crayon on. I'm a crayon on napkin motherfucker. I'm here for it. But like when we have autistic motherfuckers who are good at this shit, we should rely on them. Like all the motherfuckers who have redone our classification system in their spare time because they were bored, and they're like, "We made it better. Like it's sitting here when you want it." But I had
a suggestion that I wrote into the Reddit as well about how I had thought about this, and I had talked to somebody about it. I don't remember if I was on the board or not at the time, but I was actually just texting with Jim Boone on, I think it was Friday, because the thought entered my head as something in the new year. We have this board work session we're doing in Orlando. We're flying out there because working in, like, it's going to be basically 2.5 days of us in a room together, talking, brainstorming, planning, working. It's not a meeting because we're not voting on anything, but it's just planning and doing the stuff we try to do over email and doing it more efficiently for 3 days.
Who's going to pat everyone down to make sure no one's got like knives or brass knuckles?
Well,
be like, you motherfucker.
I'll have a knife and a gun. That's guaranteed. Because it's Florida and it's pretty easy to fly with a gun and a knife. So
the official USPSA board meeting is a gun-free zone. So I can be trusted.
So I can demonstrate to those knuckleheads how an appendix draw is not dangerous if you're turned at a 45 fucking degree angle.
Look here, motherfucker.
We don't want the holster pointing up range because someone might point the gun up range. Yeah, like retards who run around walls and point them up range. Like it fucking happens. Can we worry about the muzzle? Jesus Christ. Fuck. I was going insane reading email before we started recording tonight. I'm sorry. I'm going to calm down now. I'm going to pour more bourbon, talk, say words. Jesus Christ.
I was getting excited because I've been drinking my I call it my Devil's Brew. It's a mixture of gin and triple sec. And last time I drank a large quantity of this, me and Andy recorded an episode that never got posted and actually got deleted before either of us listened to it.
Like
because
that got deliberately deleted.
Right, because we were so
deleted that embarrassment. I did not even want to listen back to it.
Because we were so drunk that, like, to put in context, I live in a 450 square foot apartment and I love it to death. But my bed is like 6 feet away from me on the other side of a wall, and I struggled to find it. I was so drunk. So, like, I was really fucked up.
After that episode, I don't really remember, but I have a strong suspicion. I stood in front of the refrigerator with the door open longer than I should have, trying to decide what to eat. And then I ate that, and then I grabbed more stuff from the fridge and the cupboard and ate that.
Did you eat shredded cheese?
No, block cheese and a slicer. And I just kept slicing it off and eating it and slicing it off and eating it, slicing it off and eating it. No, that's a bad habit I have when I have too many. And we've been podcasting. It's a bad habit. I shouldn't do that. It's a lot of calories. But anyway, I was texting with Jim Boone about an idea I had, and I just wanted to plant the seed for it so that he would either remind me or was aware of it and thought about it. And turns out he had been thinking about the same thing, but was just some sort of grant program where USPSA either budgets, or if there happens to be a surplus some year of budget, that gets set aside, or if we do fundraising in some way, however the money happens, or we take some of our AD $6,000 a year that's designated for travel within the area that I think is way more than it needs to be, but it can also be used for like RO classes. So like I'm going to use that quite a bit here in 2025 for that, but use that. And there's some sort of application process for a club that says, hey, we could really use some movers. Can we get a grant of $2,500 for blah? And then that's the thing that can happen, because there are some clubs like yours that are very flush with cash. Like, you guys aren't hurting for shit. You are, in terms of USPSA clubs, you guys are rich.
Please, sir, may we have some more?
Yeah. My club, we're fine. We're doing great financially. My club doesn't really need the help. Clubs like Prairie Thunder out in Rapid City, they're going to have an area match. They're moving into this gigantic new range. They need stuff, Now, does that mean a grant program is going to like, oh, well, we're going to pay for 200 poppers and movers, and no, that's not what this is. And that doesn't have to if it's $1,000 grant to build walls or build whatever, like it's just to give back. Because right now, USPSA gives jack shit to clubs. They don't give a fucking thing. And if at least there's money from somewhere that can go to a club that needs it, we should do it. There's not a reason to not do it. Can you think of a reason to not do it, Jeff?
I mean, no. It's a great policy of trying to give a leader the resources to help where he feels or they feel the resources can be best used versus, kind of like bulk, like, oh, Nebraska gets X amount of dollars and they're like, well, there's only like 3 Nebraska clubs, so we're just going to take that from you. So yeah. I think it's a good policy because it allows you to dictate, like, hey, like you said, these guys are running the area match. They might need some shit to make the area match better.
Yeah.
Let's go. That feels like what my money should go to versus and to help some people who may not understand this, like this fund was only used by area directors to go to matches. Like that's its intention. So
to travel within their area.
To travel within their area.
Like I can't use that to go to Area 1. No, right, Nationals is separate.
That's a separate. Oh, okay,
that's on top of the 6,000. That's why this is sort of gross, and why the money needs to be spent another way. Because
right,
I'm probably only going to be area director for another year. I could change my mind. I've said this a million times, but I really don't want to be the area director beyond this term I'm finishing, and like the temptation's sort of there to like go to Nationals, but that's gonna feel kind of icky. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I've had to put up with this shit for a year. Maybe I do deserve a free trip,
Well, like, and it is the way for you to put
up with a lot of shit, like
right,
and I don't get paid for it. So,
it is the time to get information from people who are not in your area. Because like one thing we can be.
But if I'm leaving office, should I really do it?
Fuck it. I'm not as Dutch as you are, so I'm like, yeah, fuck it, do it. Why not?
I know.
So it's like understanding this money's it's either going to be used or it's either not going to be used or used for Andy's travel budget. So Andy's giving you a third option where he's actually reinvesting that into the
clubs
area
in the area
to make it better. So like it's not it could be better. Yes, it could be like we could get $1 million and make a fucking epic club somewhere. Like hell yeah, brother. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about that we have this $6,000 fund, and could we better use it? Yes, it could be better used. That's the entire conversation.
And as far as like giving the area directors some money to travel within their area, like I'll be 100% honest. I wouldn't have traveled around as much if it weren't for that. I wouldn't have.
Right. I just think the number's too high. Like
100%. Like
like it was $2,000. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. Like $2,000. I spent like $700, I think, total, traveling to 3 matches.
And our area is one of the bigger ones, like geographically speaking. So it's like if Andy, as area director, was like, you know what, I'm going to go to one match in each of the states that I represent. You could get that up to $2,000, $3,000. That's not an unreasonable
it could happen
number.
Fairly quickly. And honestly, I was 100% against it, but then there were people who were like, hey, we want you to come down here. Like Vince was bugging me, hey, you should come down to Free State. And so then I paid for my match fee there, and then traveled to Free State. And yes, I got reimbursed by USPSA for the hotel and gas. That was it. Minnesota section asked me to go there. They offered a free slot. I took it, and hotel and gas, and then a trip out to the Black Hills to shoot at Bruce's club and visit with folks about Area 3 potential stuff, and pretty much a lot of the guys at his club about Area 3 shit. So that's what I spent. had I been the area director longer and had time, I might have spent double that. I don't think I think your number of 2,000 is probably appropriate for travel in an area.
And if there were more actual USPSA matches in your area during that time.
Yeah, there weren't a lot. That's true.
So
That's very
yeah,
true.
like a $2,000 to $3,000 number seems kind of reasonable because some people are like you can do everything through like electronic means, and I'm a child of the internet, so I'm like hell yeah, you can. But there is a like on the ground shit you don't get unless you're on the ground fucking doing it. Like I could listen to a bunch of people be like, yeah, Tampo Timmy puts on a good match. Like his matches are fucking good. Until I fucking got Shanghai to go up to his match and shoot it, and I was like, oh, this is a really good match. He puts on a really good match. Like I really like this. Like being on the ground is different than like having people tell you it over the internet. And so like there is a net positive to having your area director at least show up to like one big-ish match per state of their area.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an unreasonable thing. But yeah, the $6,000, like you said, it felt a little unreasonable for it, and we could talk about that. But so Andy's just trying to take that money that's already set aside, like we're not finding new money. It's just money that's already set aside.
No,
and
it's
just
already
redirecting it to be like, hey guys, like let's get some poppers for this club in the middle of fucking, middle of nowhere, Nebraska, or the middle of Iowa, or whatever.
There's a brand new club in Sidney, Nebraska. Like, just started. They're not in the section. They're an independent club. They wanted to be independent. Okay, that's fine, whatever. And so I had to sign off on it because there's no section coordinator to sign off on it then. And they're brand new, and they had a bunch of questions about, like, written stage briefs and, just like stuff. None of that's on the website. So like what Brian and Vince and others on our Reddit were talking about was like, yeah, that should really happen. And that really should happen. Like that's a thing I will definitely be bringing up at not soon at a board meeting, probably during the planning session in Florida next month. But
also do a YouTube video. Like I'm a visual person. So if
several
you actually
YouTube
did a video,
videos, yeah.
Yeah, where you're like, here's how you set up a match on practice score. Here's how you do herp. Like, some of us like to see it done visually.
Practice score can be really obtuse on the back end. Like, if you've ever set up a match in practice score, there's the option. It doesn't make sense. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you... It's almost like the people who wrote it are so into it, they don't understand how it might be confusing because there's the option of making people pay to register and squad. Let me get into that because that's if you've ever tried to set this up on Jesus Christ, what the fuck? I can't type. I'm not even that drunk.
He's not that drunk. He's not that drunk.
I'm just gonna go create match. Total match. Where do I create a match? What the hell? Oh, it's over here. Different spot. Add new match. See what I mean? Not intuitive. On the website, down towards the bottom, it gives you these payment options and then squatting requirements. So one of the options is require full payment at time of registration. Well, that's what most matches do. Like, yep, do that. And then during squatting requirements, it says require payment and approval to squad. Require only approval to squad. And then allow squatting after registering, no approval or payment required. How do you think, which of those three options would you select to require payment and approval to squad?
So if my goal is to require payment,
Or
I would
require
have
payment and then they can squad immediately.
Right. Yeah. I think. I don't know.
Okay. It's hard to remember what I was saying, but I'll tell you what the correct answer is, and it's not what you would think it is. It's the bottom. It's the last option under squatting requirements. Allow squatting after registering. No approval or payment required. And then check the box that says require full payment at time of registration. That's how you make that happen. It doesn't make any fucking sense, but that's how it works.
Right. So if I required you to pay when you registered, and then I also check the box for require payment to squad, do they have to pay twice?
No.
Oh.
No, and it's not the one to squad. That's not, no, because then you have to manually approve them for that to work.
Oh.
Okay? You select allow squatting after registering. No approval or payment required. But then also hit the checkbox up above under payment options that says require full payment at time of registration. So you're clicking on two things that the plain language reading of either of the two of them don't, like, they contradict each other, but that's actually how you get it to work. And that needs to be in a YouTube video, because I went on to Practice Score's incredibly even harder to use searchable library of problems. Good luck. Just post your own and wait for one of them to respond to you. And sometimes, like one time, I mean, they do a good job responding. They do help you 100%. I'm not knocking that. It's just like the interface is not intuitive at all. Not even close. At least on the website when you're setting up matches. But I goofed up setting up Great Plains a couple of years ago. People couldn't squat. I'm like, why can't anybody squad? This is what the fuck is going on? Well, there's this teeny tiny little button up in the squad screen, if you're an admin, that says squatting off or locked, whatever it says, and then unlocked. So usually right before the match, you lock squads so people can't move around. Well, I copied the match from the year before, and the squads were locked. So I had to unlock them, and then it worked. And someone responded to me, and okay, thank you. But
yeah, that's a fucking annoying option to have on there.
Yeah, but no, things are not as simple as they seem. And this has been a really long-winded, circular way to say, yep, HQ can do more.
They're working on it. So yes, what HQ does is very limited. What HQ can do is have a go by for the clubs as they're starting, both for the physical property of like walls, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Then have YouTube videos that are both explanations of how to set up Practice Score, how to set up a match, how to do a WSB, how to deal with certain problems. And this is for those who are listening who aren't part of our Reddit. Vince went over a lot of this in his. It was a very good response. But it's basically writing out this go by that you can literally go to a club that's like, hey, we want to start, and you go, here you go.
Yeah.
Read that and then come back to us with a question.
And
then when you answer that question,
it's not like a crazy giant project. It's just literally an employee of the org with the institutional knowledge needs to just write it and do it. That's it.
Right.
It's
right.
Not complicated.
And write it as someone who doesn't understand it. So what you actually need to do is get take the next person.
So what you're saying is I should do it because I actually understand communicating with people who don't understand the thing I'm talking about.
I didn't want to volunteer you.
Okay.
But you should pair an employee of the organization with one of these new clubs that's just starting and have them write down literally every question they ask and then be like, okay, I'm going to answer these in the most like full board way possible, and then make a YouTube video about it.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Doubt mounting tips. We were talking about this last week. This came up just briefly, and Alex Mansfield from Manny Talks Shooting responded. Tongue wenches, blue Loctite, and torque spit-headed screws is the gold combo to mount dots. I'll read that again. No.
Red Loctite is God.
You did not hear what Alex said. Tongue wenches, blue Loctite, and torque spit-headed screws is the gold combo to mount dots.
Now I understand. Hey, I'm here for mountain dots with blackjack and hookers. Fuck the mountain dots.
Of course, it was supposed to say torque wrenches, but I was just like, tongue wenches, huh? That's kinky.
They're my favorite kind.
Yeah. No. And then and so, here's an episode title: 18 inch pounds with tongue wench. Thank you for naming the episode, Alex. That yes,
Well played. Well
yes,
played.
Well done. That's the only reason I wanted to talk about the dots was because of his autocorrect problem. You taught a newbie.
Yeah, I did my first like newbie lesson, and it's remarkable how much
Fun it is.
like it is fun.
Because I
but
taught
it's
an intro
all-
class Saturday, and I thought about talking this on the show today. It was like, I love teaching newbies. It's so fun.
Well, I smoked my finger on the ejection port of his gun, so
that's less fun.
That was less fun. But it is kind of fun going back to like the basic knowledge.
Yeah.
Like this dude was so basic in knowledge that we were going over. This is how a slide works. This is how your magazine catch works.
Yeah.
This is
How to
you're
rack
like,
a slide. Like the technique to rack a slide.
right, and because this dude is an older dude, he's got arthritis in his hands, and so we were going over like good racking positions and like, hey, why we don't cover the ejection port and blah 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 blah. And it's like, it reminds me again of like kicking teach boxing, teaching kickboxing,
Kicking teach boxing. I like that too.
Exactly,
Especially with tongue winches. Oh God.
all the tongue winches,
Tongue
but
winches.
going all the way back to the basics and being like, why do you do this? Explain. Like having to put words behind what you do makes you go, why do I do that? That's weird. But yeah, and so walking them through just like a piece of advice. Do not mock someone or do not put someone down for what they don't know.
Never.
And allow them to be like, I don't really like this guy was like, I don't feel comfortable carrying with one in the chamber. I'm like, hey, I understand. This is a deadly device. Let's figure out why you feel that way, and let's figure out how we can. And like my piece of advice was, hey, carry that gun with a magazine inserted, chamber unloaded, but I want the hammer back. And he goes, okay, why? And I was like, I want you to carry it for 3 days, and then take the magazine out. I want you to pull the trigger, and if the hammer falls, that means that it never went off in that 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And I'm like, yeah, figuring out, like, getting over that hump of, like, the gun will not go off. I, like, unless it's a SIG, I can almost I can almost promise you the gun is unlikely to go off. Dude, by just existing.
I literally have a spot built into my permit class now where I tell people, if you own a SIG P320, that's great. They shoot great. It's a fun gun to shoot, but never leave it loaded and carry it in a holster on your body.
Right.
Take it to the range and shoot it for fun, but don't carry a loaded one pointing at your cock.
Yep. And going over like carry positions, like having to like forcefully do like 3 o'clock and explain like, here's why we don't do 3 o'clock, or here's why 4 o'clock doesn't work. Here's why small up back doesn't work. And because like,
why don't 3 and 4 o'clock work? What's wrong with those?
The problem I have with them is clearing the cover garment, and then
it's slower.
And part of it, and I did explain this to him, is part of it is my holster was an appendix holster that I had moved to 3 o'clock.
Yeah, so it's not made
to
be there.
Right. So that made it worse. But part of it is if you're carrying 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock inside the waistband, you tend to have to kind of lean away from the gun so that your body is not in the way of your arm moving.
Even if you don't lean away, your body will naturally do it when you reach for it. Like,
right.
It'll just sort of, it happens automatically.
Right. But it was nice to go through those positions because, yeah, I haven't drawn from 3 o'clock in years. And like I explained to him, like, hey, 4 o'clock is the most comfortable position to carry because you will not feel it in any way, shape, or form.
Not for me,
but
it's 8 o'clock, but whatever.
Lefty fuck. But like I also explained to him, I'm like, I have seen someone's gun because they were carrying it 4 o'clock and they didn't feel their shirt go over the grip of the gun. And I was just like, we were in line at a gas station and I'm like, would it be weird for me to tell this dude that I can like see his gun? I don't know. I feel awkward now, so I'm not going to. So
only if they're alone, then I will. If they're with family, then I don't. But
and if there's a bunch of people around, I feel like, but yeah. And so it's like, it was nice to go over like the basics and have to explain like, hey, well, let's align the sights. Let's pull that trigger at a reasonable pace. Let's form that grip. I think anyone who is an advanced shooter should go take a newbie out and teach them and find the patience to be respectful enough to have the patience to teach them the proper way to do things without being an asshole, and make sure you're teaching them the things you actually do and why you do them.
Or don't. If you think about just even teasing them, the only thing I'll ever tease a newbie about is when they're being hard on themselves or they don't think they can do something. Then I'll tease them. I'm like, you can do this. You're fine. And like, I wouldn't do this to a woman, but to a guy, I'd be like, quit being a pussy. Just do it. You know, like I will do that, but it's more of encouragement ridicule. I have had several women who have come to classes, intro classes, and there's a point in the class where I'll talk about this book. I used to do like a women's only intro to handgun class, and I was buying this book called The Handgun Guide for Women. It's actually a fantastic book for someone who's learning to shoot. I recommend it to dudes too because it's not written like I had the Gun Digest handgun guide or whatever. It was, to learn how to shoot pistol book. It's the most boring fucking thing I've ever read. Actually, the rifle one wasn't bad, but the pistol one was fucking awful. It was terrible. And I mean, if I stapled my ear to my head, that would have been more pleasant than reading this book. The Handgun Guide for Women. It's written by a woman named Tara Dixon Engel. I interacted with her online a little bit and said, "Hey, I love your book. I hand it out in my classes and I teach some stuff from it." And she was like flattered. She loved it. She's like, "That's awesome." And then she tried to help me get cheaper copies, and she couldn't. That sucked. So, and I also found out the ladies weren't actually reading it, so I quit buying it and lowered the price of the class.
Yeah,
but the point of that was there's a part of that book where they're talking about shit. I forgot the point because I went on a tangent. Son of a bitch! What was I talking about? Oh, women that were made to feel stupid. That's where I was going with this. I had several women who told me they were made to feel stupid because they did something wrong or didn't understand or just didn't know something about a thing. And they paid money to some doddering old man who's an NRA certified instructor. And then they made fun of him when they didn't know something. Well, hey, how do you insert a tampon, motherfucker? I don't know how, but I'm not, but I don't think she's going to make fun of me because I don't know how.
Right.
Like, that's literally what he's doing. He's doing the equivalent of a woman making fun of a dude for not understanding how to insert a tampon. And it's so dumb. And it makes me want to punch him. It's so infuriating. So if you have any inclination to be rude to a newbie, go fuck yourself and don't do it. Right.
And to again go back to kind of like my martial arts world, is one of the things I specifically do is acknowledge that where that person is a terrifying place. Like, acknowledge
They're
that, like,
uncomfortable already.
Right. They are in a place like you are, like, hey, we're going to have small explosions go off in your face in a plastic device you've never held before. Like, if I phrase it that way, it's like, oh, that's kind of a weird thing to make a newbie do. And so, like, I've learned to, like, I've actually gotten apparently I insulted one woman because I was too patronizing, but like everyone else I've dealt with is like, I appreciate how, like, kind of baby step I am towards a problem, because I'm like, hey, I just want you to do this small task. If you do that small task, we're good to go. And so, like, when I'm teaching a newbie, I'm not like, when I talk to higher level shooters, sometimes they're like, yeah, I get them doing like target focus and both eyes open and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm happy when they grip the pistol right. Like,
I know.
If they do, If they do that part, I don't give a shit what their eyes are doing. They're like, do I keep one eye open or both eyes closed? I'm like, whatever you do, I don't care. Like we're getting the hands right. When the hands are doing the right thing, I'm happy. That's all I care about.
I get a huge when you see something really awesome or cool and you get chills. Like
Yes.
When someone struggles with something and I help them overcome it and they figure it out and all of a sudden they're like not yanking shots low, or all of a sudden they're shooting doubles and like the bullets are all landing in generally the same spot. Like I fucking lose it. I get chills and I'm like, yes, I turn into a freaking cheerleader. And it's so fun. I love it so much. Like working with new people. It's so fun.
It's a very rewarding experience. Again, as long as you walk into it with a patience and like an understanding of who you're
walk in ahead of time. That's a great idea, Jeff. Is like in your head I am patient and I will explain everything and nothing they do is dumb. Like you walk in with that attitude and pre-decide like that's how I'm going to be. Then it's really easy to do.
Right. And like, I don't mean this as like you're talking down to them, but like imagine they're a toddler that you're explaining a new concept to.
Yeah.
Like they have no concept of the thing you're explaining. So you got to start from zero and it can be fun. You're like, all right, here's what we're going to do. So we're going to put one round in this. You're going to pull the trigger. It's going to go boom. It's going to be awesome. And they're like, boom. And they're like, okay, that was kind of cool. And you're like, yes, let's build from there. We're happy. We're having fun. Let's go. And making it this fun, positive, like, hey, we're learning. We're going step by step. We're embracing it. And they're going to ask you like, so what's this like thingy bobber on the back of it that like blah, blah, and you're like, that's a hammer and a hammer does this and da, 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 and you can like autistically nerd out. It's super fun.
Yeah.
But like, just embrace it as like, ooh, you're interested in the thing I'm interested in. Let's go forward with this.
I got a voice message on Telegram from that I missed. I just saw it just now. I got it at 2:43 p.m. from Tom Nelson from the Paracast. Let me play it here.
Hey, do you want to join?
Oh, it didn't play.
Hey, do you want to join me and Jerry? Hey.
What? Okay. He was asking if I wanted to be on their show today, and I was teaching a class and I didn't see it, and this is not working to play it because every time I hold it up right to the microphone, it shuts off the screen and it stops playing. So sorry, Tom. I just saw it now. Happy to be on next week if you do a show, but you're kind of every other week, so probably not. Probably the weekend before Christmas. I'm just kidding. No. Sorry about that. I'm terrible. Like Telegram, I love Telegram. It's great, especially the Paracast chat, but like if you have notifications on for that and there's a bunch of people in there, oh God, it's bad. It's like ding, 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 ding. Oh, no, that's why I shut off all the notifications for it. And I miss a lot of stuff in there because of it. But anyway, sooner or later, we're going to catch you, Tom and Robert. Anyway, we haven't thrown Paracast shade in a while. Thank you so much for listening, folks. There's a big long edit. It's almost like we did 2 shows tonight, Jeff, but it's really just one because there was a big long delay in the middle. So we're still at our like normal almost hour and a half time. But it feels longer because apparently Clean Feed hates Jeff now. So we're just
right.
I mean, I like recording on Clean Feed because it makes the editing a little easier for me, but hey, Discord worked out pretty good too. So
well, I'm glad we have a backup.
Yeah, we got a backup. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. He's Jeff King. I'm Andy Erickson. This is Not Another Shooting Show.